we are live.
Happy
Hello,
Sunday, everyone.
everybody. Happy Sunday. A great evening to you, Rodney. It's the final countdown, leaving for Texas on Tuesday, arriving on Wednesday, then arriving to Florida on Thursday. That is a trip.
I'm going to keep doing this until you join in. Never mind.
Sorry. I'm excited for you. That's quite a trip, though. I've made that trip.
Drive safe.
Yes. Hi, Blossom. Hi, Tatiana and David. We'll just let the room fill up a little bit. I know there's a lot of exciting things happening on the internet right now, so we'll talk about that more once we get started. Let's see. Oh. Banks Lee, friend of the show, sent me a meme that's been going around of Kevin Feige with such things. It was very funny. It made me laugh.
How do you know that he wasn't the one who leaked it?
That is a great question. I've seen a lot of people blame Scarlett Johansson.
If so, good for her.
Yeah. Hi, Carrot Boy and Frisk. John says UK travel to USA soon. Well, safe travels to you.
Well, hopefully that will be a thing. Hopefully.
Yeah. It was Agatha all along. You know what? I bet it was.
Yes.
Yes, but we will talk about that for sure. Looks like we are on the lighter end of the audience size this weekend, so I say we go ahead and get started.
We got quality over quantity.
Yes. All right, in 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 101 of the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by Destinations with Character Travel. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Seth.
And we're here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. Seth, how have you been this week? What's up with you?
I've been good. Thanks for asking. I had 2 really cool theme park things I got to do this week. I got to check out SeaWorld's latest craft beer festival.
Ooh.
Sample some food and some beer at 11 a.m., which is always a fantastic idea. And I also got to see the new Sea Lion show for the first time since they got rid of Sea Lion High. They've made the show much more science-based and educational, but they did bring back the mimes for the pre-show. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So thank you to SeaWorld for having me out. But much more importantly, I got to meet like the biggest celebrity among 6-year-olds on the planet,
Who?
Peppa Pig.
Oh my god. I saw your selfies. They gave me so much life.
Our good friend Banks had me and Matt and a bunch of other press people out to the construction zone for Peppa Pig theme park. There is a Peppa Pig land in a theme park in the UK, but this will be the first dedicated Peppa Pig theme park in the world. When it opens next year, and so that was really cool getting to walk through the muddy puddle. Right now they are muddy puddles, literally, but they will be fake muddy puddles that kids will be able to play in sometime early next year. So that was really pretty neat. So what was your weekend like?
Well, my weekend, I got to see...
week, I'm sorry.
Week,
the whole week. The whole week.
The whole week. Well, the week
go
started.
All 7 days.
The week started with finding out that Super Yaki, the T-shirt brand that I do social media content for, was on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. So that was bananas. Jimmy gave a shirt that we did for a Michael Shannon collection a few months back to Michael Shannon. We had no idea it happened. Apparently, one of the associate producers of the show was a fan and like planned it. So that was incredibly crazy. I got to see a advanced screening of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Mm.
Yeah, my first...
when are your opinions embargoed until?
Oh, tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes. It was my
So,
first in-person screening since like 2019.
how was it being back in a in-person
Um,
theater?
a little stressful because
Yeah.
apparently I was the only person invited by Disney proper, and everyone else was invited through a third-party marketing company.
Interesting.
So there was like a snafu with getting a comments virtual link sent to me that I was supposed to get, but I didn't get, so I could share my thoughts on the film immediately afterward.
Hmm.
And the people running the screening were like, I don't want to say unpleasant, but a little frazzled that I was there and they didn't have, I don't know, any communication with me, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? When I first started going to media screenings for films, I was kind of surprised that the people running the screenings are rarely employed directly by the studios. They're
Yeah.
usually some third-party company, and sometimes they don't really know anything more about what's going on than the
Yeah.
guests do. So yeah, I've been there. But at least you got to see the movie early.
I did, yeah. Quite a bit early. I think it doesn't come out until September 3rd. So it was really far in advance. There was also a junket for it, but I was invited and then uninvited to that. Um,
Oh,
I don't know why.
Oh,
I don't know why.
was this after you gave your comment?
No, this was before.
All right.
But you can read my thoughts on the film tomorrow once the embargo lifts. And then
That'll be at attractionsmagazine.com.
attractionsmagazine.com, indeed. And then just before the show started, since this really doesn't fit in with our news in the queue at all,
Let's do it anyway.
the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer has leaked. Sony is already hard at work at taking down all of the leaked videos of it. It's basically like someone filming their phone that's showing footage of someone filming a computer screen on TikTok of the trailer, and the quality is like quality for ants. It
Yeah.
looks awful.
So it's like a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in addition to that trailer, there are also some leaked images of the villains of the film, which I will not name for spoiler reasons. But at your own peril, head over to Twitter and search Spider-Man if you want to look before Kevin Feige
Well,
takes it all down.
don't do that until after our show is over.
Right, yeah. Stay here and then go after.
I'm going to hold off until I can see a legit copy. Like I told you before we started
Yes.
recording, the only deciphering of blurry videos that I'm doing this weekend is from the Jurassic World Dark Ride that they are previewing right now in Universal Beijing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Go to Theme Park X for links to some fairly decent videos of what really makes me wish they would bring to Epic Universe, even though I know it ain't happening. Not coming here. Not coming
Nah.
here.
In
But
my
I wish.
dreams. Well, we'll just have to take a trip out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the list.
Yes. All right. Well, with all of that out of the way, let's get into the news. Cedar Fair has made a handful of announcements of new things coming to the parks next year. That you want to get excited about it. Covering Cedar Point, Knott's Berry Farm, King's Dominion, all that jazz. Lots of cool stuff coming.
The big headliner is that King's Dominion is getting Tumbili, which is the Swahili word for monkey. And that is a 4D spinning roller coaster. It looks sort of like the Zack Spins, like the Green Lantern ride that formerly exists at Six Flags. I'm not
Or the
sure who the
Batman
manufacturer. Yeah, I think this is more like the Batman, which I think is that SNS. I think this is the maybe the free spinning model. But they're very interesting roller coasters. Basically, have more inversions than any other roller coaster because they're just constantly sending you tumbling overhead. But it actually takes place in a really tight layout. It's check out the concept art if you haven't seen one of those before. But that's going to anchor a new archaeological dig site themed land, which is kind of cool because King's Dominion is not really known for in-depth theming.
And it's called Jungle Expedition. It looks really neat and heavily themed. Like you could throw it in Animal Kingdom and it would fit. I will say that this roller coaster looks nauseating. Oof.
Yeah, these tight layouts with the lots of flipping and spinning, they do a number on my inner ear too.
So the way that the ride works is you are suspended on either side of the coaster car, and the cars spin as you flip through the track. So, can't wait to see who gets sent to cover that. Cedar Point is also reopening 2 of its resort hotels after some lengthy renovations. Castaway Bay Indoor Water Park Hotel and Sawmill Creek by Cedar Point Resorts. And then Frontier Town will get a new signature restaurant, and the Frontier Festival will kick off the start of the 2022 season at the park. Over at Canada's Wonderland, they will be hosting their first ever International Food Festival, as well as debut a new 500-seat lodge-themed restaurant that overlooks Yukon Striker and the Frontier Canada Vista.
And then hopping over to Knott's Berry Farm, they are extending their Boysenberry Festival for this year. They're bringing back Ghost Town Come Alive. Of course, Spooky is coming back, which we'll be chatting about. And most importantly, they are doing a big renovation of the Knott's Berry Farm Hotel. That hotel could definitely use a facelift. So that's good news for fans of that park.
And then Kings Island will be celebrating its 50th anniversary next year with all sorts of food offerings, live entertainment, and special events. And it will be closing and repainting the park's Eiffel Tower landmark as part of that 50th anniversary.
Amazing to think that that park's almost as old as the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, never thought about that before. Schlitterbahn Water Parks here in Texas will be getting enhancements for the 2022 season, including updated food locations and attractions. I've never been here, but this is where they do Jaws on the Water with Alamo Drafthouse, if you've ever heard of that.
Oh, yeah. That sounds fantastic.
I've always wanted to do it, and then COVID happened, and I didn't get to. They brought it back earlier in the summer this year, but it was still kind of iffy around here that I was like, I don't know about that. But once...
Next time.
Yes. Once, like, COVID is, knock on wood, over and done with, I would love to do Jaws on the Water. And then other Cedar Fair parks will be getting a full lineup of seasonal events. The Grand Carnival celebration will return to 6 parks next summer, including Carowinds, Dorney Park, Valley Fair, and Worlds of Fun. And Halloween special events will be taking over in the fall, with 6 parks offering tricks and treats events, and 2 others hosting family Halloween. And then Winterfest will be also celebrated at Carowinds, California's Great America, King's Dominion, Canada's Wonderland, and Kings Island. So lots happening at Cedar Fair parks.
It's interesting because as a chain, they're kind of known for roller coasters, and it's interesting to see only one new roller coaster across the whole chain, but instead them really doubling down on seasonal events, kind of outdoor entertainment. So see how that pays off for them.
Next up, a brand new spa will be opening at Disney's Grand Californian on September 16th called Tenaya Stone Spa.
This used to be a Mandara Spa, which is a chain. They also operate the spa at, I think, the Swan and Dolphin and at the Portofino Bay at Universal. But now this is a brand new space that has been redesigned by the Imagineers, with a lot of stained glass and natural wood and stone, and it really looks like a luxurious space to get a spa treatment in.
So this entire spa will have hints of Native American cultural motifs throughout, and they worked with a cultural I can't say that cultural advisor, that's a lot of L's, with Disney Imagineering, so that it's authentic and respectful, and so it matches the whole arts and crafts theming going on at the Grand Californian as well.
Yeah, there are different spaces and treatments themed around the 4 elements of nature. And speaking of treatments, I looked up their online booking prices, and so you are going to start at about $160 if you want a basic 50-minute massage. They also have couples massages available. And your services are going to go up to about $300 if you want to start throwing in things like hot river stones or aromatherapy.
Great.
Yeah.
So
The one thing they don't seem to be doing right now, there are no facials available. I guess that's a COVID precaution. But pretty
That's
much
fair.
all of your other standard massage treatments, you'll be able to sign up and get once they open their doors on the 13th.
We finally have an opening date for Drawn to Life from Cirque du Soleil at Disney Springs. I remember going to see the preview of this
Yes. Yeah.
in March 2019,
Yeah.
and then that weekend, everything
shut down. Yep, they were so close to being ready to open this. It's got to be heartbreaking to work so hard on a show, and then, obviously they had new auditions. They had to replace some people, had to do rehearsals all over again. But finally, the finish line, November 18th, 2021, will finally be the official public debut. There might be some previews before then, but right now you can go and buy tickets starting on the 18th. And actually, the 19th, they're having a special performance for people who are attending the D23 convention going on at the same time, and I managed to get
Cool.
some tickets for that. So I will be getting to see this the day after opening night.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
For those of you who don't know what this new show is about, it basically covers the story of a father and a daughter and their relationship, while simultaneously pulling inspiration from Disney's storied history of animation. And if the preview that I saw in March of 2019 is still what the show is at its core, it's gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. There was a sequence where an aerialist climbed a giant pencil and was swinging around the theater with projections of Disney pencil drawings and rough animations projected on screens in the theater. And the music is all Disney music. And there was also a tumbling section that I got to see as well. That was lots of fun.
Yeah, there's a little clip that they have released that looks really neat, and I'm excited to finally see it after all this time. That Circus Tent Theater at the far end of Disney Springs has been dark for way too long.
Can't wait to see
Yeah,
this
this
come.
will hopefully help that whole Disney Springs West Side come back to life, because
Yeah.
as we were about to discuss, it needs it.
And before we get to that,
Yeah.
we have a trio of new updates for the Disney Wish, Disney Cruise Line's newest ship added to the fleet.
They just keep piling on.
They really do.
I was already sold. Like, if I could afford it, I would would book it, but they just keep piling on with new things that make me even sadder that I am not sailing on this boat yet.
This past week there was a virtual conference, and before that there was an in-person press event. And our contributor Brooke McDonald was able to go and
So
check it
jealous.
out. I know, right? One of the first things that they talked about was the Aqua Mouse, the first attraction at sea on Disney Cruise Line, which is basically an aqua coaster with show scenes with screens. And there will be 2 different shows on this attraction that you can experience.
I wonder, well, first of all, that we don't know exactly how they're going to rotate between these, whether it will be based on time or whether you'll be able to choose. But they just, doubled my excitement for riding this, especially since the first version of this ride is, a submarine underwater version called Scuba Scramble. We had previously seen some animation or some concept art and clips of that, but the one I'm really thrilled about, the second one, is based on the Yodelberg cartoon, which is one of my favorite of the modern Mickey Mouse cartoons, because it features the Yeti from Disneyland's Matterhorn. And that's just one of the theme park references that you're going to spot along the way as you're ascending this tunnel. And by the way, depending on where you sit in the raft, front or back, you might see different things or get sprayed differently. So that now we doubled again. So that's now 4 times that you're going to have to ride this attraction in order to see everything.
I'm so excited. I've only been on one aqua coaster, and it's the one at Volcano Bay. And
That's a pretty great one. This one
Yeah.
certainly isn't as long, but it has what I always wish Volcano Bay did, which is some actual theming and character and storytelling while you're riding. So yes, Universal executives, go ride this, and then let's add some more theming to the Krakatoa at Volcano Bay. Let's make them jealous.
Please. The next thing that they announced were more details for Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge, which is the adults only at night, families during the day Star Wars bar on the ship, and just how you will be transformed and transitioned from the atrium into this outer space bar, because it's right off of the atrium. And how they kind of transition from the magical Cinderella theming of the Grand Hall to this sort of luxury space liner, similar to, if you've seen Solo, Star Wars story, Dryden Voss. It's kind of his vibes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A cross between Dryden Voss from Solo and the Canto Bight Casino from Last Jedi, which are 2 explicitly evil places that we're supposed to. I mean, the movies literally tell us that we're supposed to hate the kind of people who hang out in these places. But forget about that. I want a spot at the bar so I can look out of the giant high-definition video screen and see all sorts of Star Wars ships and planets go by when we jump into hyperspace every, 7 or 8 minutes or so?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's also got a sideways hyperspace jump.
Yeah. Well, I think it might kind of make you nauseous if, the boat's going one way and you're blasting into hyperspace going perpendicularly. That would not be a good motion simulation.
No, sir.
Yeah.
They also talked about some of the drinks that you can expect to try, and they'll all be served in custom vessels.
Yeah.
So don't expect to see any brand labels of certain liquors and things here. It's all going to be in world.
It definitely sounds a lot like Oga's Cantina, where you have these elaborate dispensers, and all the drinks are kind of pre-mixed. They're all in the back kitchen somewhere out of a big bucket, and there's a tube that goes into a fancy nozzle that they can pour your beer or your cocktail out of.
And then, as I said before, the bar is open to all ages during the day, but at night it will transition to adults only. So send the kids off to the children's lounges and tell them you're going to go listen to Figure and Dan and the Modal Notes for a little while. But can't wait to see this. The Disney Wish will set sail in June of 2020. So keep an eye out for that. This is still just concept art. The ship is being built as we speak, so it might be a little while before we see any actual in-person imagery, but I'm very excited. And then the last bit of news is probably the biggest section of news for the Disney Wish, is that guests will be able to play an augmented reality-based game that will take place over multiple days through their phones while on board the ship.
Yeah, this sounds pretty amazing. It sounds like a cross between the kind of live action role playing that they're trying to do in Galactic Star Cruiser that we've talked about, plus things like the Sorcerers in the Magic Kingdom or the Pirates Adventure that they've done in the theme parks, and then mix that up with the Midship Detective Agency, the Muppet interactive things that they've done on some of the other ships. And I personally love all of that stuff. So if they can finally make augmented reality work consistently with people's phones, if this is something that actually, is as seamless as they make it sound, where you can walk around the boat and make things come to life and interact with them, and use your phone as a tool and not just be staring down at your phone like you do with the data pad at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, this could be a real game changer, because this could basically turn every corner of the boat into a potential entertainment space. Or it could just turn out to be a very expensive version of Pokemon Go that you play on a boat. So the concept art, the idea of it is absolutely amazing. It's all going to be in the execution.
Yeah. It also sounds a lot like Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom in a way, with tying in through that one was NFC specifically, I think, or camera recognition of
that
cards.
was using camera recognition on your cards, and that was pretty primitive by the technology that we have today. I'm not sure exactly how your phone is going to communicate with the boat, whether they're going to use Bluetooth or NFC, or if maybe you're going to get a little QR code to stick onto the back of your phone, so that when you're pointing your camera towards something, it can have a camera pointing towards you. Not 100% sure how that'll work technically speaking, but if you really can, interact with characters and play a game with your family anytime you want, all across the boat, that sounds like a game changer.
The premise of the game is that your phone is transformed into a magical spyglass by Captain Mickey and Minnie, and while they're using it to teach you about stars in the sky and how wayfinders use them to travel years and years ago, a wishing star gets shattered into a ton of pieces, and you have to enlist the help of all these Disney characters to get all of those pieces back to put the star back together.
Who knew that wishing stars were so delicate?
Funny enough, that is the same plot as the new Ratchet and Clank PlayStation 5 game.
Well, there are only so many plot lines out there.
Yes, I only know that because Josh just finished playing it not too long ago, but I was reading this and I was like, oh, that sounds familiar.
I also love the fact that you actually start playing this before your vacation even starts.
Yes.
This is something that you begin interacting with before your vacation, and then it carries through and leads up to a big climax. The people who participate in this during the voyage get to all come together at the end and participate for what sounds like a climactic battle against possibly Ursula, and then get to experience the reward of the big finale.
I went to the virtual press conference for this last week, they also mentioned Tamatoa from Moana as being a presence here that I don't believe is mentioned. The Kakamora are mentioned, but I don't think Tamatoa is in here. But it sounds awesome. It will take signage inside the ship and use it to transform with augmented reality to play a part in your games, so you're constantly like looking up, not looking down. They really emphasize that heads up approach to the game. So very exciting.
So if someone wants more information, just Venmo me and Brittany enough money to book a cruise, and we will give you a full report.
I would love to do that.
Just saying.
Could you imagine the vlogs? And then, as we alluded to earlier, in what seems like the most unsurprising surprise, NBA Experience has permanently closed at Disney Springs.
I believe this might set a record for the Disney gated attraction that was operating the fewest number of days in its lifespan. I think this probably actually operated even less than Disney Quest Chicago, which was probably Disney's previous biggest failure ever. I can't think of another gated attraction that Disney has done anywhere in the world that has opened and closed so quickly, so quietly, with so little attention or interest.
Disney Quest Chicago, maybe?
Yeah, that's why I said Disney Quest Chicago, and I think even Disney Quest Chicago was open for more days because this basically closed down like less than a year after it opened its doors.
Yeah. It opened
in
August.
It barely existed.
And from, like, I've had friends who went when cast members could get in for free, and they would say it was, like, dead.
It was under construction for way longer than it was actually, more days than it was operating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all got rid of Disney Quest for this instead of just fixing up Disney Quest.
Seriously.
I love Disney Quest. I mean, they were selling that to my generation. So
I loved what Disney Quest started at and what Disney Quest was supposed to be. I didn't love what Disney Quest ended up as.
Yeah.
It needed help, but turning it into something that is now just probably going to sit there dark for the indefinite future, because they certainly didn't announce, we're redeveloping it, we're coming up and, it's closed. And move along, folks. Nothing to see here.
And to think that this was like the last thing that Bob Iger did before officially handing the reins over.
Oh, was this his last ribbon cutting?
Yeah, he did not go to the Galaxy's Edge opening after this. It was just Chapek at Walt Disney World, at least. So that's a bit sour.
You would hate that to be the end of your legacy.
Yeah, especially after doing so much and opening Shanghai, but people are just going to remember how NBA Experience was open for like 6 months and then closed.
Honestly, like, I felt like this was a concept for an iDrive attraction. It never really seemed like Disney, where they, the people who are always shouting that there should be a wrestling attraction at Universal. People have been saying for years that the WWE should build a Hall of Fame at Universal. Just look at NBA. NBA has a lot larger viewing base, fan base than wrestling does, and they could not make this thing work financially. So I don't think a wrestling experience is in anyone's future.
Gina in the comments says, I heard NBA Experience was expensive, wanted to take my son but didn't get there. What was Disney Quest like?
So Disney Quest was a virtual reality arcade that was way ahead of its time. It was things that are kind of VR like we know it, with the headset that you put on your head, except it was like 20 years before you could, go out and buy an Oculus Quest. But it was also kind of mixed reality things like 3D games that you could play as a group. There was a Jungle Cruise river rafting simulator. There was the big headliner was Cyberspace Mountain, which you designed your own roller coaster track, and then you got a simulator pod that could actually flip 360 degrees and ride it until you threw up. Um, at Disney Quest, for its time, people complained that it was expensive because it was a pay one price thing. They kind of pitched it as an indoor theme park when it first opened, and I don't know if there was quite enough to do for what they advertised it as. But there was a lot of really innovative stuff, at least at first. And over the years, some of the cooler things either aged or just broke down. And by the end, probably the best thing in there was the arcade of retro video games. That was the irony thing. At the very end, the best part about Disney Quest was the stuff from the '80s, which was what Disney Quest was supposed to be replacing.
Yeah.
But I think that for all of Disney Quest's problems, it probably had a lot more fans than NBA Experience ever did.
I remember when it closed and people were like wailing, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Well, none
it.
of those people were paying admission to go there on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Disney. There are a lot of Disney fans who love things once they announce that they're closed.
Yeah.
But they never set foot in them until then.
Could you imagine if we got a Disney Quest now with Disney teaming up like with Facebook for Oculus?
Yeah.
And utilizing that technology? That would be so cool.
I would love a retro Disneyland, or a Disney VR Yesterland, where you could go in and ride authorized VR simulations of attractions that don't exist anymore.
That's
already
idea.
On the Quest, you can get a really cool recreation of adventure through inner space, and people have done some other attractions like that. So I think that would be awesome. I would definitely pay to be able to go in and ride, the submarines again, or the Walt Disney World version of Mr. Toad. Sit on a little simulator, get an old Mr. Toad ride car, put on a motion base, sync it up with a good VR headset. I would pay money for that.
Disney, if you're listening, get Seth on the phone. This is a great idea.
They're always listening.
I know. Over at Universal Hollywood, they have finally announced that Terror Tram is coming back due to fan demand, as well as Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers as a haunted maze for this year. Rest in peace to my hopes for Halloween 3, but...
Yeah, Halloween. People were hoping for either Halloween 3 or Halloween Kills. The new Halloween films. Instead, we're getting Halloween 4, which is not necessarily one of the best remembered. I guess it's a better film than Halloween 5 or Halloween 6, or I don't know.
H2O.
And once you get in the middle, I kind of like H2O.
That's fair.
H2O did a lot of the same things that the Halloween reboot did, but didn't get the credit for it. Plus, it had Janet Leigh in it for a tiny cameo with her daughter.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing a photo of the Silver Shamrock warehouse on a building at Universal Hollywood. I remember seeing it on Twitter, and I was like, yes! Because I love
Maybe
Halloween
that'll
3.
just be a Easter egg inside the Halloween 4.
Either way, I'm disappointed.
I'm more interested in the return of the Terror Tram, because when I went out to Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood last, they did not do the Terror Tram that year, and that's the one thing that I kind of wish that they had, because that really puts Hollywood apart from Orlando.
Yeah.
I'm curious if there are going to be any changes to the pathway, or in the past they've had people get off and walk at certain points. So I'm curious with COVID and everything how exactly the Terror Tram will work, but it will have a Ultimate Purge theme, including characters from the new Forever Purge film.
I did not see that. I haven't watched any of the Purge movies, to be perfectly honest. But I know the newest one is, the premise is really kind of traumatic.
All of them are, and
Yeah.
I honestly think that like I don't know if they are just predicting society or actually making it come true, but I want them to stop making them, because every time they come out with a book a Purge film, we're like, oh, this is ridiculous, and then a few years later it's pretty much reality, and they make another one, and then we keep moving the line. At this point, they're going to be documentaries.
I'm really interested to see how it works, but I'm also afraid. Um, did the Terror Tram go through the Grinch and like Seuss
Uh,
sets?
At one point, yes, it did, but those have been taken down. Those are
Yeah,
gone
that's
now.
why I was asking.
It's also, I think, used the War of the Worlds sets in the past, but I think they've changed it up various times over the years. So I'm looking forward to someone who's not me going there and getting a good video of it.
Yes. This was revealed at Midsummer Scream. Over the past week, John Murdy himself, who is the evil mind behind it all at Universal Hollywood.
I don't know that he's personally evil. I mean,
No, it's
people say things, but never actually seen him sacrificing children. Come
well,
on.
geez, I hope not. But he
evil is so strong.
all right. Then what would maniacal,
Twisted.
the twisted mind behind Halloween
I think
Horror
it's
Nights Hollywood?
Twisted is fair.
Yes. He said that the fans were clamoring for this to come back, so it's back. We also got announcements for scare zones, one of which I'm very excited about. Universal Monsters Silver Scream Queens. Adjacent to the Bride of Frankenstein Lives haunted maze, we will get a scare zone full of fabulous females from Universal Horror Films, and a Noxunamun from The Mummy, 1999.
Yes. All I can say is, and that character, if you haven't been to the horror makeup show at Universal Florida lately, because that's the only reason why you'd remember that movie. She's basically like naked with hieroglyphics written on her body and a bunch of gauze wrapped around her. At least that's how I remember that character. So I'm really hoping, that people in Hollywood are a little more respectful than people in Orlando, because the last time they did a scare zone in Orlando with a lot of female-centric characters, there was a lot of unfortunate, unpleasant incidences, and they basically had to have bodyguards. This is why we can't have nice things. Please treat the actors kindly. Just because they're scaring you does not give you the right to touch or harass them.
Be nice.
Thank you. Be nice, please. Because, yes, this sounds like a really cool idea, and I would love it to come to Orlando sometime. But it won't if all we see on social media is people harassing the poor mummy woman.
Leave her alone.
Yeah.
She's been through enough.
She has, I mean, she's like dead for 4,000 years, had to suck people dry just to get her skin back. Really, she's had a hard day. Don't bother her.
Yeah. The other two scare zones are Chainsaw Rangers, from the description, I assume will be positioned right at the entrance of Horror Nights, and then Demon City, which sounds like Vampire the Masquerade video games with like a New York streets transformed into bloodthirsty, demonic, vampire-y club goers prowling looking for their
How can you
next
tell the
victims.
difference? How can you tell the difference between vampire club goers and normal ones? Slightly
the
pointier
clothing?
teeth. Yeah.
More leather? And they also shared that Jabberwockies will be back for a dance show, and for those of you looking for upgrades in your tickets, the RIP Tour, Ultimate Fear, Frequent Fear passes will be returning. So.
And Brian is mentioning in the comments that the Toxic Tunnel is not coming back. If you have ever been to Horror Nights at Hollywood, there is, to get you from one part of the back lot to the part of the studio lot where they have some of the houses, there's this long, long tunnel that they would fill up with loud noises and
Great.
scare actors banging on pipes and fog that would make you cough, and call it the toxic tunnel. And it was just, it was a toxic experience. So I am very glad to hear that that will not be returning.
The trauma tunnel.
Not fun.
Next up, our last bit of news in the queue this week. Knott's Scary Farm is returning. Thank goodness.
I can't believe how long this one has been around. 48 years.
And I mean, I am not brave enough to go to Knott's Scary Farm, just because I've been told many stories from Josh, who goes and says that it scares him, and these things don't really scare him much. So I know that I would be horrified. But they announced that it was coming back with a short film, an original short film, which you can watch if you head over to our website, search Knott's Scary Farm. This short film kind of gives the backstory to Mesmer's Sideshow of the Mind, which is the new haunted maze for this year's event.
Yeah, I used to have friends who were carnies with Traveling Carnival, and I always fascinated in that life. So this is kind of right up my alley. The Mesmer maze is based around the sideshow and a hypnotist who is preying on people's hidden fears, bringing you into a world of torture, madness, and eerie enlightenment.
Great. Knott's is, for their mazes, it's always super intense. The show quality,
and long too.
Yeah.
If you look at videos, like, the length of their mazes is like way longer than your average Universal Halloween Horror Night maze.
And the show scenes, especially, I think Paranormal Inc. is on here. There's one scare with a ghost on like a wire that slides from one side of the room to the other. And that maze is coming back. I thought it was retired.
Yeah. That's one thing they do. They come up with one or two new mazes or scare zones each year, and then they do a lot of repeats. For someone like me who's never been, it's all new to me. But I guess if you're a longtime fan, you probably got your favorite mazes that you want to see again. But we're used to a Universal having pretty much new mazes almost every year.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would be lining up for, though, this year would not be the mazes, or it would be the Invitation to Terror at Mystery Lodge, because the Mystery Lodge is one of my favorite things at Knott's Berry Farm. It is a Native American themed show that uses basically a Musin-style hologram to let an actor interact with video projections. And it's been closed for quite a while. And there was really no word about what was going on with that. So this makes it sound like that they have used this downtime to create a whole new show using that same illusion technology, but giving it a scary twist involving a millionaire who is unveiling a secret project that will change the world. A new technology that I'm sure is going to go terrifyingly wrong.
Yes. It's also set in 1986, so I'm sure that time frame will have something on the...
I'm guessing that might be a typo, and they mean Calico 1896.
Ah, yeah.
Because that's the setting of the rest of the Old West stuff. But if they have decided to update Knott's Berry Farm to 1986, I'm totally wearing my day glow.
One thing that
Parachute
I'm
pants,
super
baby.
excited about is Pup It Up.
Yes! Sorry if that was a little loud.
I love puppet comedy, and Brian Henson is hilariously unhinged. This is an uncensored, off-the-cuff improv puppet show.
This is not your parents' Muppet Show or your kids' Sesame Street, because this is very rare for a a theme park. It is an uncensored show, says so right in the title, and it is intended for mature audiences only. I don't believe
Yes.
even Universal, which will get a little PG-13. I don't think ever goes as far as saying mature audiences only. But Knott's Berry Farm has had a history in the past, like with the hanging, of kind of pushing the line. So we'll see what kind of stuff gets posted on social media from this.
Yes, I'm very excited. Some of the
Yeah.
people that worked on Puppet Up also worked on Earth to Ned, which
Yes.
was a bit edgy in its
Mhm.
own way. So I'm very excited. I hope someone films it if that's allowed, so I can watch it from afar. The Hanging will not be returning this year.
No.
If you remember, the premise of it is all of these pop culture references, and then they pick one person, real or character based, to get hanged. The last one I think was Logan Paul, and then they stopped doing the show. So
Yeah, celebrating people's deaths is probably a little tasteless this year, but
yeah,
maybe it'll be back in the future. I'm sure it'll come back in style.
There's not a shortage of people to make fun of
That's true.
for doing dumb things on the internet, that's for sure. Tickets this year are also pretty affordable when you're considering all the offerings that they're doing. I mean, it's no SeaWorld Howl-O-Scream $30 a head, but it's $89, and if you buy online for the time being, you can save up to like $39-40, which is a great deal. And that's just single night tickets, not adding on any Fright and Fast Lane or the buffet experience onto that.
Yep. Even with the Fright and Fast Lane, which starts at $99, or the early bird dinner, which is $45. It's still a little bit cheaper than the equivalent events over at Universal. Definitely cheaper than the holiday after-hour events at Disney.
Oh my goodness, yes. Not Scary Farm starts on September 16th and runs through Halloween on October 31st. So
they're waiting till the middle of September.
yeah,
so,
they're making
so
you
late.
wait.
So late.
Better late than never, I guess. I mean, Spirit Halloween, I went to a Spirit Halloween for the first time this year last week, so it's already Halloween in my head.
Oh yeah.
And that's everything that I had for news in the queue. And before we get to this week's main attraction, let's get a quick word from our sponsor.
Here at Destinations with Character Travel, we offer the best experience with your travels. Need to visit the thrilling Disneyland Resort, Walt Disney World? Maybe lounge about on a Disney cruise or any other major cruise line? No problem. So if you're looking for a stress and hassle-free vacation, visit us at www.destinationswithcharacter.com. Contact us today and let us plan a magical vacation for you and your family.
It's time for the main attraction!
All right, my friends, the main attraction this week, it's going to get a little spicy in here.
Buckle up.
Disney has killed FastPass and is replacing it with Disney Genie service.
Not just Disney Genie, but a whole raft of interrelated programs which involve Disney Genie, Disney Genie Plus, and Lightning Lane. And let me tell you, I am personally responsible for this happening this week.
What'd you do?
Well, because my final draft of my Disneyland book was turned in on Tuesday.
Oh no.
Because Wednesday was my birthday, and all I wanted in life was to not work at all, or think about theme parks at all, on my birthday, which was Wednesday, which was the day that Disney dropped all this information, which required me to rewrite a chapter in my book, plus other stuff all throughout the book, which is what I have been up to midnight pretty much every night since working on. And even though I have now spent literally like 25, 30 hours since Wednesday at least, researching Disney Genie, writing about Disney Genie, digging into the details of Disney Genie, I still cannot tell you exactly what it will do, where it will do it, or how much it will cost you to do it. So I guess we can run down the basics of what they have confirmed, and then we can talk a little bit about what are the questions that they still have not answered.
Yes.
The first thing you have to know is that Disney Genie refers to a whole umbrella of free services and programs that you're going to find inside the Walt Disney World and Disneyland smartphone apps. And these things are free. They're going to be activated sometime this fall. By this fall, I'm assuming we're talking around October 1st, give or take. But Disney Genie is going to do things like forecast the wait times in the park and ask you questions about what kind of attractions or experiences you're interested in to come up with a personalized itinerary for your family to follow during the course of your day. That's going to incorporate your dining reservations. It's going to incorporate suggestions for rides to go on at a certain time. But all of that is going to be free. What you're going to have to pay for from now on is access to lightning lanes. And if you remember FastPass, well, you know what a lightning lane is. The lightning lane is the FastPass lane that now has its new sign stuck on it. Except whereas before you could access those FastPass lanes for free with the price of your park admission.
And in advance.
And, yes,
well in advance.
And in advance. At least at Walt Disney World, you could do it in advance. Now, all access to Lightning Lane is going to cost you one way or another. If you are a Disneyland visitor who remembers MaxPass, you're going to be right at home with this system, which is called Genie Plus. If you are used to what Walt Disney World did with FastPass, you're probably going to be kind of confused and possibly annoyed. But people who have been going to Disneyland are probably going to adapt a lot quicker. Basically, you're going to pay $15 per person per day on top of your admission at Walt Disney World, $20 per person per day on top of admission if you're at Disneyland. And that gives you the ability to make same-day reservations for certain Lightning Lane attractions in the parks. You can do this if you're at Disney World starting at 7 a.m. on the day of your visit. At Disneyland, you've got to scan into the park before you can start doing this. So this is not something that you're going to wake up at 30 days or in advance in order to book. And you're only getting one at a time. We don't know. Well, we'll talk about what we don't know. But we do know that you're basically supposed to get one of these, use it, and then get another. A lot like the old original FastPass system before FastPass Plus came around. And the only difference is instead of paper tickets and kiosks, you're going to do it all through your smartphone app. Now, I personally have been using MaxPass for a few years at Disneyland, and after I got over the fact that I had to pay to use it, I decided I would never go without using it. It worked amazingly well at Disneyland. I can't guarantee that it's going to work just as well at Disney World. The one major difference between the old MaxPass system and what we're going to have with Genie Plus is all the rides that had FastPass lanes were covered by MaxPass. Genie Plus, very strategically, very smartly, very shrewdly, excludes 2 rides in each park. And those 2 rides in each park are going to be the 2 rides that you want to do the most. They're going to be the rides that require virtual boarding passes. So that means Rise of the Resistance in both resorts. That means Web Slingers out in California. That means Ratatouille at Epcot, which is going to use virtual queue boarding pass. So those rides where you had to get up at 7 a.m. and hope and pray that you were able to get a boarding pass for, now if you don't get that 7 a.m., at 7 o'clock and 2 seconds, when you realize you didn't get that free boarding pass, well, you've got the option to pay for a boarding pass. So let's talk about the things we don't know. The number one thing we don't know is how much you're going to pay for that a la carte boarding pass.
Yeah.
If we look at a similar system that they have recently implemented in Disneyland Paris, a one-time use boarding pass over there goes from anywhere from $8 to $18 once you convert from euros. I would not be surprised if that's the low end. If they could easily charge people $20, $30, even $50 to guarantee a ride on Rise of the Resistance, and I'm sure people would pay it. I'm like I said, they have not told us what that price would be, so hopefully that's more than it will actually be, but I'm sure it will vary depending on how popular the ride is, how much demand there is, and the time of year, how busy the parks are.
Yeah.
If you want to go during Christmas and you want to guarantee yourself a ride on Flight of Passage, you're going to be paying a good chunk of money for that.
And you can only do, though, 2 per day of
yes,
those specific
2 of
rides.
those a la cartes per day. And we believe there's going to be 2 of those in each park. You will be able to do park hopping still using the same park hopping rules. But, yeah, the other thing that we don't know is what kind of loopholes there will be. For instance, with Max Pass and Fast Pass, you would get a 1-hour window, but you would actually be able to use that return time up to 5 minutes early or 15 minutes late. We haven't had it confirmed if that's still going to be the same. If you got a return time that was way out in the future, you used to be able to make a new Max Pass 90 minutes after you pulled the first one, even if the first one hasn't come due yet. We don't know if you'll be able to do that. We don't know if you'll be able to cancel or change a reservation once you've made it. There's a long list of things that we're still not sure of. Most importantly, we don't have an official list of exactly which attractions are going to be included. But basically, we think that everything that previously had Fast Pass will have Lightning Lane. The question is which ones will be a la carte and which ones are going to be bundled in with that daily fee for Genie Plus.
Yes. I feel like I'm also partially responsible for this because I did Disney Max Pass the year that they launched it at Disneyland, and I loved it.
Wasn't it? It was amazing.
It was $10 too, so it was
Yes.
super cheap.
$10, and even at $20, the ability to just kind of stack up e-ticket after e-ticket and knock them all off. Now, at Disneyland, for example, Rise of the Resistance obviously will not be included, and neither do we think will Web Slingers. But they've also confirmed that Radiator Springs Racers, which used to be a free Fast Pass, will not be included. And also Space Mountain, we have reason to believe that will also not be included. Now, luckily, both of those rides have single riders. So I'm betting that the single rider line is going to be a lot more popular there. The fascinating thing for me is going to be what kind of inventory, how many of these are they going to sell each day?
Yeah.
What is the ratio going to be of regular guests to Lightning Lane guests? Because we would see times where they would distribute under FastPass Plus 90% of the hourly capacity would be given out through FastPass times. So if you were waiting in standby, they were letting 9 or 10 FastPass guests through for every one standby guest, which makes the standby line absolutely crawl. Now, if by making this a paid service, it means that fewer people use it, and therefore they're able to increase the throughput of the standby lines, it's possible that this could be a net gain for both standby people and Lightning Lane people, when it all pans out, at least compared to what we used to have with FastPass Plus in Walt Disney World. But it's definitely going to be a big mindset change. I think the biggest hurdle is going to be psychological for all the people who said, well, what makes Disney better is everyone is the same, and you can't buy your way to the front of the line like you can at Universal or Six Flags, because that was one of the last things that people were holding on to. Is like, this is what Disney does different. Disney doesn't let you just buy your way. Well, yeah, now Disney does. So
yeah,
you gotta let that one go, and accept that they're just like everyone else. They're just trying to maximize their profit, while creating the illusion of benefit for the guests.
To the point where we, one of our contributors, Samantha Davis Friedman, did a comparison article breaking down all of the front of the line passes.
And, even if, let's say, they're charging, I think in this article we assume only $10 for a Lightning Lane. I think that's low. I think you're probably gonna look at twice that.
$20.
I think that was
20 for that.
20. We estimated 20 for two. I think.
Okay.
I think that was for two
per
rides.
person.
Yeah, per person. Yeah. But even if you double that, the total cost of Disney Genie plus the Lightning Lanes is still going to be way less than what you're paying for a Flash Pass or a Fast Lane or a Universal Express. All of these other options are in the hundreds of dollars. Disney is the only one where adding them all up together is still less than the price of a one-day ticket. But it's a big psychological hurdle for people who are used to Disney being a flat rate. You're just going to have to, embrace the fact that you're now living like your ancestors did back when there were A tickets and B tickets and E tickets, and you had to pay per ride. Of course, the admission to the park was a lot cheaper back then.
Yeah.
But it is important to keep in mind, though, Universal Express, if you're buying it or you're getting it thrown in with your hotel stay, that is a use anytime service. That is one where you can enter that express queue anytime, and you can go from attraction to attraction without waiting. All of these other line-cutting services allow you to do that. Disney's is the only one where you're paying for the privilege of scheduling a time to come back later. And the biggest question mark is going to be how much later.
Yeah.
If Lightning Lane is scheduled so that they are selling you, the wait for the ride is 2 hours right now, but they're selling you a pass to ride it in 15 minutes, fantastic. But if the wait is 2 hours right now and your pass makes you come back in 4 hours, well, and you can't book another one in the meantime, then I don't know how valuable that is.
And then will we get to a point where they're just out for the day?
And that's a question. Will you be?
Attraction?
Yes. I mean, at some point, they have to run out, theoretically. As the end of the day approaches. So yeah, then the question becomes, well, are you able to get enough return times to get a return on your investment for your? I know with MaxPass, I always felt like I was able to make it worth my while.
Same.
But I think a lot of it depends on how many people buy into the system, and how many people figure out how to leverage it and maximize it.
And group size, we don't know how that factors into the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, dining, it's really hard to get a group of 9 versus, like, a couple or a family of 4. And now if you're trying to get Lightning Lane for 10 people,
that's an excellent point. If you're
going
to have to break up into smaller groups, maybe, to try to make that work. That's an excellent question. Some other things to note. Back with FastPass Plus, there was a really big advantage to staying on site at a Disney Resort hotel. You got like a month's head start on everyone else making FastPass reservations. With this, you get no no head start whatsoever for Genie Plus reservations. The only difference is that you get to make your a la carte Lightning Lane reservations at 7 a.m. instead of at the park opening. And that's only at Walt Disney World. There's no advantage whatsoever to staying on site at Disneyland. Another difference between Disneyland and Disney World: at Disneyland, you're going to get unlimited PhotoPass digital pictures for the day included. Disney World, you do not get PhotoPass included, but you do get access to some augmented reality filters, Snapchat style filters in the camera.
I think that, I mean, when I did Max Pass, that was also a feature.
Yes, the
and I
PhotoPass
loved
was
that.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish they would have made it $5 more, because the weekly or month-long PhotoPass package for Disney World is pretty pricey, and it would be much nicer to have it on a per-day basis if I wasn't an annual pass holder.
Yeah. Frisk in the comments asked, has this been announced for other Disney parks?
Yeah, this is for all the Disneyland and Walt Disney World parks. Disneyland Paris recently got its own system called Premier Access.
Not to be confused with Disney
yeah.
Plus Premier Access.
Right, and I believe Shanghai and Hong Kong have their own kind of paid Fast Pass system. Nothing like this announced yet for Tokyo, as far as I know. I think that covers it.
Yeah, but Tokyo is a licensed Disney park and not an owned Disney park,
Yeah.
so that would be on Oriental Land Company
Yep.
to decide if they wanted to do that or not. But the Fast Pass situation at Tokyo is already bananas.
Right. Yeah. People if anything, because everyone in Tokyo has a smartphone that's 10 times faster than anything we have in this country. So it's amazing to me that they don't use those for Fast Pass instead of still having that stampede, because they still do that foot race every day to the Fast Pass booths, and that always seems nutty to me.
Yeah, that's the one thing I dread about my eventual travel to Tokyo Disney is having to deal with that.
Yeah.
We just got a super chat from...
I think Corey just jumped in the Lightning Lane.
He did. To all who can afford to come to this happy place, welcome. Well, thank you, Corey, for the laugh.
Yeah, I mean, Disneyland was never intended to be a charity. Walt was running a business, and even if he wasn't running his business, his brother Roy certainly saw it as a business. So I don't begrudge them trying to make a profit for themselves and their shareholders. But yeah, if you look at a chart of how the price of a day at a Disney park, once you throw in all of the extras, has risen compared to incomes in this country, it's a pretty big gulf. So yeah, Disney is definitely aiming at the top of the market here, and they're trying to keep their biggest spending customers happy.
Yeah, and when you think about this, and then this comes after the Galactic Star Cruiser price announcements, and
we know where they're aiming.
Yes.
What part of the market they're aiming at. This is not going for Middle America anymore. No. This is they're going for the top. For the people who are willing to spare no expense to make their vacation magical.
Well, yeah, Corey, Disney is a business in the end. They need to make money. They do.
I wish more of that money would get spread around to the employees at the bottom of the pyramid who actually make the magic. But that's for another podcast.
Yes. But there you go. That's Disney Genie. If you want more information, you can check out our basic article about it when it was announced. We also have a frequently asked questions page that we will be consistently updating as we get more information. We have a ton of questions breaking down literally everything that we can possibly answer for you right now.
Yeah, there's, like we said, there's still some unanswered questions there. Shameless plug, if you want a little preview of the kind of itinerary planning features that Disney Genie offers, and get it for a full year for less than the price of one day of Disney Genie, you can head on over to touringplans.com and see how we've been offering that service for 20 years that Disney's just finally discovered how to do.
Hashtag
and
not
shameless
bitter.
plug. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, but I'm really interested to see when this rolls out. They have not set a clear date, but like Seth, I think October 1st is...
Someone just posted in the comments that it would be great if shareholders could get a special discounted rate. Shareholders, as long as you guys keep getting your returns, your dividends, you don't need any other discounts. You guys have been doing just fine over the last couple of years. But what I wish there was a discount for was annual pass holders.
Yeah.
There is no break off the daily rate for annual pass holders. There's no way to add this on as a bundle to your annual pass or your magic key. So if you like this and you're a frequent visitor, you're going to be paying full price right now every single time you visit.
DVC as well.
Yep.
No discounts for Vacation Club. Yeah. Well, I told you we were gonna get spicy.
I mean, honestly, we could have poured on a lot more hot sauce.
Yeah.
If I didn't experience and love Max Pass so much, I would probably be screaming a lot louder. But I'm willing to just kind of relax and let it settle in because Max Pass worked so well for me, even though I was skeptical about it to start.
Same. I think I was definitely disappointed that this happened, but it wasn't a surprise after Premier Access rolled out at Disneyland Paris.
It honestly, it could have been worse. It could have been, everything was a la carte. The Genie Plus could have been priced a lot higher. They could have they could have messed with fans a lot worse than they did. But it's still, I think a lot of people are unhappy. If you look at the downvotes on the YouTube announcement about this, they're not used to seeing that many thumbs down on one of their videos.
Yeah, I think Theron said in our group chat that the dislike ratio was 90% to upvote ratio.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So big yikes. But we will keep you updated as they announce more, no doubt, leading up to the 50th anniversary celebration kickoff in October for Walt Disney World. And I'm sure one of us on the team will be testing it out and let you know what kind of value it is.
I'll just send the bill to Matt.
Yeah. Put it on the attractions company card. And before we go, this is the part of the show where I would give listener thank yous to those of you who had subscribed to Club or VIP of the Attractions Magazine subscription plan, but we didn't have anyone this week.
Boo!
So, boo to you, and not in a spooky, fun Halloween way.
If you would like to hear your name mentioned right here, though...
Yes, you can head over to attractionsmagazine.com/store and check out the 4 tiers of our subscription plan. And if you choose Club or VIP, the week after you join, you get a shout out here on the podcast from myself and Seth.
Shout. Let it all out.
And if you're interested, you can pick up our summer issue as well. And our fall issue is coming. It's happening.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner. We were just looking at cover options today. So
I agree with you. I like cover option A better than cover option B. That's a spoiler alert, folks.
Yeah. Too bad you don't know which two we're talking about.
Shh.
You're going to get me in trouble.
I think that this is the point at which I am supposed to say another big thank you to our sponsor, Destinations with Character Travel. And also remind everyone to head on over to Apple Podcasts and please rate us 5 stars. Even if you only think we're worth 4.5, please round up. Give us 5. Leave us a review and help spread the good word about Attractions Magazine and our podcast to everyone on the worldwide interwebs. Speaking of the interwebs, you can find me on them at theunofficialguides.com, on Twitter at the UG Series, or on Instagram at the Unofficial Guides. And Brittany, where can they find you?
You can find me at Brittany Tuttle, that's BRITTANITUTTLE, yes, it's spelled funny, on Twitter and Instagram, but also every day at attractionsmagazine.com, at Attractions on Twitter, at Attractions Magazine on Instagram, and youtube.com/attractionsmagazine, where you've been with us for the past hour and 20 minutes or so.
We had a lot to talk about.
We did. And until next week, I hope you guys stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.